Tuesday 2025, and we're live streaming from Radhakund on the great epic of Caitanya Caritamrta. So we'll begin straight away. We're doing the introduction today to the Caitanya Caritamrta. So we'll begin. Om Magana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshush Ummalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. So I'm reading from the introduction today. Yesterday we covered the forward by Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And yesterday I said something that devotees might not have fully appreciated. I said that there was no Raganuga Bhakti prior to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So just to make that a little more clear, there was no practicing of Raganuga Bhakti. Rag Mag is the condition of the Rag Atmika. So the Rag Atmikas are not only Lalita, Vishaka, Champakalata, etc., but also Hanumanji is a Rag Atmika. But practicing Raganuga Bhakti was not performed prior to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this verse, Prem Ras Niryase Korite Ashvada, this is why Mahaprabhu comes. And it's saying the second line, Rag Mag Bhakti Loke. He's come to give this Raganuga Bhakti. And prior to Mahaprabhu, this Rag Mag wasn't there. So this is a whole explanation in itself, but gradually we'll unpack it as we go through. So today we're reading from the introduction, and I'll just read and comment in between. So this was originally delivered as 5 morning lectures on Caitanya Caritamrta, the authoritative biography of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by Krishnadas Kaviraj, before the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, New York. So today I had the fortune to go to Krishnadas Kaviraj's Bhajan Kutia, and by great fortune he gave me his garland today. So I'm feeling our efforts are being blessed by this personality. The word Chaitanya means living force. As living entities, we can move, but a table cannot because it does not possess living force. Movement and activity may be considered to be signs or symptoms of the living force. We actually say, what is the symptom of the soul? The symptom of the soul is consciousness. If there's a live body and a dead body, one has consciousness and the other doesn't. So the symptom of the soul is consciousness. And here it's being called living force, but it's the same meaning, living force, as consciousness. Indeed, it may be said that there can be no activity without the living force, without consciousness. There can be no activity. Although the living force is present in the material world, it is not amrit. It is not immortal. The table, the bed, etc., these objects, our bodies are also objects, material objects. They're not immortal. The words Caitanya Caritamrta then may be translated as the character of the living force in immortality. But how is this living force displayed? Immortality. I think this is something of an editorial glitch here. It really should be saying, how is the living force displayed immortally? Actually, it's correct then. This means that how are we going to show, demonstrate the immortality of the soul? This is going to be by the activities of someone who is immortal. In other words, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this will be the activity of someone who is immortal. It is not displayed by man or any other creature in this material universe, for none of us are immortal in these bodies. We possess the living force, we perform activities, and we are immortal by our nature and constitution. But the material condition into which we have been put does not allow our immortality to be displayed. It is stated in the Katha Upanishad that eternality and the living force belong both to ourselves and God. So there's the verse that we often speak, this Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitananam, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidati Kamam. And this means that he is the eternal being among all eternal beings. Krishna is the eternal being amongst all human beings, eternal beings. And the supreme conscious being among all conscious beings, that one supreme fulfills the desires of all the others and provides them with everything they need. In other words, the distinction between Krishna and the Jiva. So we're all eternal, but there's a distinction. Krishna is the supreme and we are his servants. This is basically Sambandha Tattva. So we must understand that principle initially, that Krishna is the supreme. Although this is true in that both God and ourselves are immortal, there is a difference. As living entities, we perform many activities, but we have a tendency to fall down into material nature. Falling down into material nature means I become absorbed in my material activities and I forget Krishna. And therefore I become fearful and become in anxiety. So we have this beautiful verse by the Nava-yogendras, Bhayam dvitiya biniveshitam syat, isat upatasya viparyo shmiti. That fear arises when one becomes materially absorbed. That means we've forgotten Krishna, therefore fear and anxiety will come. This is the principle. This is the principle of life that we have to try to imbibe daily, moment by moment. God has no such tendency. Being all-powerful, he never comes under the control of material nature. Indeed, material nature is but one display of his inconceivable energies. How could Krishna come under the material nature? Only we come under the material nature. On the ground, we may see only clouds in the sky, but if we fly above the clouds, we can see the sun shining. From the sun, skyscrapers and cities seem very tiny. Similarly, from God's position, this entire material creation is insignificant. The tendency of the conditioned living entity is to come down from the heights where everything can be seen in perspective. God, however, does not have this tendency. The Supreme Lord is not subject to fall down into illusion, Maya, any more than the sun is subject to fall beneath the clouds. This is very beautiful, direct tattva. It's very sweet for the consciousness to be grounded in these truths before we go to the higher considerations of the teachings of Mahaprabhu. This is just the basics. This is what Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is giving us here. Because the Supreme Lord is not subject to illusion, he is unconditioned. Because we, as finite living entities, are prone to fall into illusion, we are called conditioned. That's our nature, conditioned beings. Impersonalist philosophers, Mayavadis, maintain that both the living entity and God himself are under the control of Maya when they come into this material world. This may be true of the living entity, but it is not true of God, for in all instances, the material energy is working under his direction. Those who consider the Supreme Lord to be subject to material conditioning are called fools by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti mam mudha manusyam tanum ashritatam, param bhavam ajanato, mam bhuta maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature. Thank you. Thank you. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. So the Mayavadis, they are bewildered. We're trying to establish our platform. We're trying to make our platform very strong. That means purifying any Mayavad or impersonal tendency so that we become qualified to hear the highest truths about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should not be considered to be one of us. He is Krishna himself, the supreme living entity, and as such, he never comes under the cloud of Maya. So many people in India, they think that Mahaprabhu was a great philosopher or a great religionist or something of that nature, like us, a great person. They're not understanding his Godhead. Many have that misconception. A great revolutionary, spiritualist coming from Bengal. If they don't know this aspect, that he is the supreme God himself, we can never enter this Shastra if we're thinking anything that he's like a conditioned soul. Prabhupada is writing this introduction for the whole world. He's writing it knowing that the whole world, actually he's not writing it, he's speaking it. He's speaking it, but he's speaking it for the whole world. He wants the whole world to appreciate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as such, he never comes under the cloud of Maya. Krishna, his expansions, and even his higher devotees never fall into the clutches of illusion. The Mahabhagavat is never in illusion. The pure devotee is never in illusion. Lord Chaitanya came to earth simply to preach Krishna Bhakti, love of God. He came for a lot more than just preaching love of God, but he came to actually take us into Braj. He came to give us Braja Ras. He came to give us the very highest pinnacle conceivable of devotion. Only in this one period. This is what I described at the beginning about Ragam Anuga Bhakti. It was not present prior to Mahaprabhu. And there's been 7 Manvantaras or 6 Manvantaras prior. And there wasn't this current of Raganuga Bhakti prior to Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu establishes this. He preaches this. He gives this understanding of Braja Ras, Braja Prem. It never existed prior. In other words, he is Lord Krishna himself, teaching the living entities the proper way to approach Krishna. He comes as his own devotee. How kind is Krishna? How merciful, how compassionate. He's called this Audarya manifestation, full of complete karuna, complete mercy and compassion, giving the conditioned souls this highest opportunity to actually serve directly Sri Radhika. This is what he's giving. Unheard of previously. Even during the time of Baladev Vidyabhushan, just 150 years ago, they didn't want to accept Radharani with Govindadev in Jaipur. You remember? Baladev Vidyabhushan had to go there and write his Bhasya, the Govinda Bhasya, to allow Radhika to stand beside the Murti form of Govindadev. So people were not understanding, even after Mahaprabhu, but at this time, at this particular time, due to the vigorous preaching of so many acharyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in particular, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in particular, he used so much energy to put this philosophy into the world in so many different ways. First of all, he established all the different holy places in Navadvip itself. People didn't know where the Yog Pit was. They didn't know where Mahaprabhu had appeared. They didn't know where Godram was. They didn't know where Ritukund was. They didn't know where Koladvip was. They didn't know any of this. None of this was known. He was one personality. It's like in Vrindavan there were 6 Goswamis, but in Navadvip there was one, the 7th Goswami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So what he gave to the world was so tremendous. And he gave us this conception of Raganuga Bhakti. He unpacked it for us through granthas like Jivadharma in particular. When we read the last 14 chapters of Jivadharma, everything is there about Braja Prem, Braja Ras. This is what Mahaprabhu has come to give. So this is just in the initial stage that Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is teaching here. He is like a teacher who, seeing a student doing poorly, that means not doing very well, takes up a pencil and takes up his pencil and saying, do like this, A, B, C. The teacher will feel compassion for the conditioned souls and show us directly how to love God. Only Mahaprabhu is showing that. Krishna never showed that. Krishna was performing his leelas. He was enjoying in Vrindavan with all the gopis. He was enjoying with the gopas. He was enjoying with the cows. He was enjoying with his mother and father. He was enjoying in the entirety of Braj. He wasn't teaching. Then he went on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and he annihilated all the demons by his potency. He wasn't teaching. But Mahaprabhu has come to teach us how to act in this world. It began this lecture by talking about immortality. He comes to teach us the activities of someone who is immortal for us to follow. It's very wonderful. We are immortal in our swarup, but we've forgotten and we're convinced that we are these material bodies and we're acting according to these material bodies. I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a husband, I'm a brother, I'm a father. We're acting out these roles and we're forgetting our real natures constantly. We're under the spell of the illusory energy and it's so strong. It's so strong. It can take us lifetimes to gradually be purified of this. It's not a quick fix. Unless we get the mercy of the Mahabhagavats, unless we hook in with the current of the Mahabhagavats, then we can actually have some clear appreciation and realization. It's a journey. Although he appears in the guise of a devotee, we should always remember that Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, God himself, teaching us how to become Krishna conscious. And we should truly study him in that light. As I said, people will consider him just an ordinary being. I'm sure many places just around locally, not so much locally, but many places they just believe Lord Chaitanya was a great revolutionary philosopher or something of that nature. They don't give him his Godhead. If they haven't studied this Caitanya Caritamrta, how can they understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu except through Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur and this Chaitanya Caritamrta by Krishnadas Kaviraj. The only two granthas we have. We have also Lochan Das, Chaitanya Mangal, this also. And of course, all the, and Jivadharma also are only the teachings of Mahaprabhu. So we have these scriptures. But if we neglect these scriptures, then we can't understand his Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna sets forth the highest religious principle in this way: Sarva dhamma parityaja mam ekam saranam braja aham tam svava papabhyo moksheshma yami masuchaha. We've said so many times, surrender. But surrender is the threshold of bhakti. It's not bhakti itself, but it's the qualification to attain bhakti. I said the example of getting dressed. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Shiravaraj uses that example. You have to get dressed to go on the street, but the purpose in life is not to get dressed. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. So this beautiful conception of surrender. When we surrender, there's no more problems. We give the entire result to Krishna. But it's a process of surrender that has to evolve within our consciousnesses. We surrender once today. We surrender a little bit later today. And then perhaps tonight we make another, and it goes on continually. We're cultivating this progressive surrender state of consciousness. And then, ma suchaha, we understand no more worries. Because Krishna is the controller. Why should I worry for my food? Why should I be in anxiety for my money, my wealth, etc.? We have our prarabdha karma, which is going to determine that anyway. We have to understand this is, I'm not the controller. We sometimes meet people, they've got 3 jobs, trying to make a lot of money, and they're poor. They don't have anything. Then someone else is practically not working at all, and he has so much wealth. Why? Because of their karma. Some people are begging on the street. Some people are working so hard, but they never seem to make any money. And some people just make money and they don't even work hard, like me. So, this may seem to be a simple instruction to follow, but invariably our reaction is, oh, surrender, give up, but I have so many responsibilities. That's what we suddenly think. I can't give up my active engagement because I'm such an important person. This is the problem. It's our pride that holds us back from surrendering because we think we're very important in this world. When we know we're an insignificant servant of the Lord, then everything is so simple. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paripasate. Krishna, he provides what we lack and he gives us what is that verse? He provides what we have. How's that verse go? Ananyas chintayanto mam. What's the translation? Yes. 225. He carries what we what does the translation say? He carries what we lack.
Those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have.
He carries what we lack and he preserves what we have. Why should we worry? Ma suchaha. But we do worry. And it creates fear and anxiety. So much of the day is wasted in fear and anxiety about some future situation which may never eventuate. It may never happen. But yet we worry about it. That's Kali Yuga. And Maya illusion says to us, don't do it or you'll be out of my clutches. The illusion wants us to keep worrying. Just stay in my clutches and I'll kick you. It is a fact that we are constantly being kicked by Maya, just as the male ass is kicked in the face by the she-ass when he comes for sex. Similarly, cats and dogs are always fighting and whining when they have sex. These are the tricks of nature. Even an elephant in the jungle is caught by the use of a trained she-elephant who leads them into a pit. So this sex desire, Rajaguna, of Karma Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajaguna Samudvaha, Mahashano Mahapapma, Vidi Enam, Iha Varinam. Yes. Yeah, Vairam. This all-devouring, let's say the Supreme Lord said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born from contact with the material modes of passion. Not necessarily just sex life, it's lust for wanting something that we don't have. This is what agitates the mind. In contrast to the position of the Brahma-Bhuta platform, the liberated platform. Brahma-Bhuta prasanatma na sochati na kanchati. No suffering and no lamentation, because we don't want anything. It's the want that is agitating. Is it or not? Is it true? Is it true? When we want something, we become agitated. When we're just dependent on Krishna, there's no agitation. Maya has many activities, and in the material world, her strongest shackle is the female. Of course, in actuality, we are neither male nor female, for these designations refer only to the outer dress, the body. We are all actually Krishna's servants. We're all actually female by nature. serving Krishna, the one Purush, and we are all his maidservants ultimately. In conditioned life, however, we are shackled by the iron chains which take the form of a beautiful woman. Thus, every male is bound by sex life, and therefore when one attempts to gain liberation from the material clutches, he must first learn to control the sex urge. One time, Srila Prabhupada asked his disciples, why is it that everyone in the world are coming to touch my feet? So many people are glorifying me. Why is that? And they all gave many, many answers. And he finally said, because I have given up sex life. This one thing, I have given this up in the form of material desires. And therefore we are so strong then because Maya has lost us. She can't control us in the same way. When your material desires get purified completely, then she has no hold over you. How can she control you? It's like the ring in the nose of the bull. It's controlling, but if the ring goes, how are you going to control the bull? You can't control it, correct? Just with a stick you can't control. You need the ring to pull. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu officially renounced this illusion at the age of 24. And we said yesterday, in his two wives, Lakshmi Priya and Vishnu Priya, he gave up Vishnu Priya, a young girl, 14, 15 years old. He spoke sweetly to her only on the last night before he actually departed. And then Mahaprabhu, he never even looked in the face of a woman after that. And prior to that, he never looked with any attraction to anyone. There's even the story in Caitanya Caritamrta of one confectionist, a sweet shop owner, who when Mahaprabhu was very small would come and the mother of the owner would give Mahaprabhu sweets. And the mother was very affectionate to Mahaprabhu, Nimai. And then that sweet shop owner came to Puridam to see Mahaprabhu. And he said, oh, my wife has come with me, like your mother. And Mahaprabhu was very silent. And the shop owner understood that Mahaprabhu doesn't want to see my wife anymore because he's in the renounced order. So he showed us this nature of immortality. This is how the immortal soul acts. Understand? We have to make the balance in our lives. Although his wife was 16 and his mother was 70, and he was the only male member of the family, although he was a Brahmin and was not rich, he took sannyas, the renounced order of life, and thus extricated himself from family entanglement. Even if we take sannyas internally, we are making tremendous advancement. It's not that everyone has to put on the saffron robes and take the external renounced order. If just in our hearts we individually renounce that material enjoying propensity, that pleasure in the world, then so much advancement can become there. We said yesterday this verse, Varcho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udara Prasta Vegam. When we control these urges of the tongue, the belly, and the genitals, then we're actually qualified to make disciples all over the world. Because everyone will honor that, because everyone is controlled by that. It's so simple. But they all are suffering in misery because of this one defect of wanting something in the material world. Like the people just over the road, they're building. So many desires. We have to build, 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 build. Not just satisfied with what Krishna has arranged for them. If we're Krishna conscious, we'll be satisfied and peaceful with what the Lord has provided. And then the Lord will, we said that, Ananyas Chintayantamam. He will provide what we lack. He will give whatever is needed. We don't have to struggle so hard for existence. But the whole world is doing that. So by that association, we also do. That's because we're stupid. We should wake up to our own individuality and find our own strength and reject that type of association. We don't have to follow everybody else. If we wish to become fully Krishna conscious, we have to give up the shackles of Maya. And if we remain with Maya, we should live in such a way that we will not be subject to illusion. If we live in an ashram situation where people are endeavoring to become Krishna conscious, where Thakurji is there at the center, then it's very conducive. But when we live in the material world, it's very difficult for us to navigate through like this. It is not necessary for one to abandon his family, for there are many householders among Lord Chaitanya's closest associates. Advaita Acharya, for example, Ramananda Rai. Who else? So many. Nityananda married. So many Srivas Thakur. They all had families. So it's not about leaving the family. It's about leaving the material urges to enjoy matter. The soul doesn't want to enjoy, the soul cannot enjoy matter. Can it? The soul can only be inspired when it hears kirtan, when it sees the beauty of Thakurji. The soul can get satisfaction and bliss from these activities, but the material mind is convinced that it can get some pleasure from material matter. It's a contradiction. We must be renounced is the propensity for what must be renounced is the propensity for material enjoyment. Although Lord Chaitanya approved of a householder having regulated sex in marriage, he was very strict with those in the renounced order, and he even banished Junior Haridas for glancing lustfully at a young woman. The point is that one must take up a particular path and stick to it, obeying all the rules and regulations necessary for success in spiritual life. It was Lord Chaitanya's mission that he teach the path of Krishna consciousness to all men and thereby enable them to partake of the immortality of spiritual life. He started off by saying that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities are an example of someone in that immortal world. And for us to actually come into that immortal world, all we have to do is renounce the desires of the material world. It's so simple. But we don't do it. We can't do it. Because our minds haven't been controlled sufficiently. From Caitanya Caritamrta, we learn how Chaitanya taught people to become immortal. And thus, the title may be properly translated as the immortal character of the living force. That's the meaning of Caitanya Caritamrta. The supreme living force is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is also the supreme entity. There are innumerable living entities, and all of them are individual. This is very easy to understand. We are all individual in thought and desires, and the Supreme Lord is also an individual person. This is a very important understanding in this age of Facebook, of group mentality. We have to appreciate our individuality. If you come under the group, you come under that control, like a subtle entity control. And then it's very hard to control the senses so easily. But if you are appreciating your own powerful individuality, and it's so easy to see, like in this room, just think of the individuals here, all completely different to each other. Totally, totally different. And the gopis, they all ran singularly, alone to see Krishna in the forest. They didn't run with each other. They made a tremendous decision to give up the shackles of their material life and to run to the forest, transgressing all dharma, giving up their chastity, giving up everything. And they ran alone with great courage into the darkness of the forest. 14-year-old girls, 13-year-old girls. Very hard. But they did that because of their enormous affection for Krishna. This is the example we're following. How can we give up these material desires? And the biggest fear often in the material world is what other people think of us. This is like these Facebook and things like this. They dictate, you get the royal thumbs up or the thumbs down. If you put a nice post, something like this, we're all looking for this security of people's confirmation of my activities. What they say in one, an expression is 3 billion drunks cannot necessarily be right, because they all think something. It doesn't mean they're right. They're all drunk. So how can we validate their opinion? So what the material people are doing, struggling for their existence, is not the path we are following. As Vaishnavas, we're following the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All of them are, it is very easy to understand. We are all individual in thought and desires, and the Supreme Lord is also an individual person. He is different. Sometimes we try to smear, to cover Krishna with our own conceptions, without fully respecting him as an individual. This is the purpose of recognizing our individuality. Then we will recognize and appreciate Krishna's individuality. He has his individuality. But so often we think, oh, Krishna, he should think like this because I think that is Dharma, or I think that is correct. So Krishna should be thinking like this. But that's not acknowledging his personality, is it? How can I have a relationship with him if I don't acknowledge fully his individual nature, his personality? The Lord is an individual, just as the living entities are individual. But he is different in that he is the supreme individual. God is infallible. We are only in this material world because we were envious of Krishna. Envious means I want to be the controller of the situation. I want to make money, principally, or I want to enjoy matter. So I want to manipulate the energy to go my way. That's what I'm trying to do. But this is all Maya. In that he is a supreme individual. And in Bhagavad Gita, he is addressed as Achyuta, which means he who never falls down. This is indicated because in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna has fallen into delusion, but Krishna had not. So Arjuna had fallen into illusion because he wanted to take sannyas, basically. He didn't want to fight in the war that Krishna was encouraging him to. He wanted to take, he was deciding himself independently. He didn't want to kill his grandfather. He didn't want to kill his uncles. He didn't want to kill his martial arts teacher, Dronacharya. He didn't want to kill like this. And it seems like a good sentiment, but it wasn't what Krishna wanted. So he had to make that submission to Krishna. These are the lessons of Bhagavad Gita. Unless we make this submission to the spiritual master, we can't progress. It's not possible. And the spiritual master is saying exactly what Krishna is saying. We often hear it is said that God is infallible. And in Bhagavad Gita it states Nanyam gunabhya kartaram yada drastanu pashyati gunabhyas cha param veti mad bhaktam so digachati. When you see that there is nothing beyond these modes of nature in all, let's see it again. When you see that there is nothing beyond these modes of nature in all activities, and that the Supreme Lord is transcendental to all these modes, then you can know my spiritual nature. When you understand that these material modes are acting on us, they're acting on us because we have bound ourselves. And we give the analogy often, like I'm holding onto a tree and I'm shouting out, let go, let go. Who's holding? I've got the key. It's true, isn't it? I'm holding on and I'm shouting, oh God, let go, let me not suffer. But I'm holding. It's my desires that have locked me. In other words, I have the key to unlock it. We have to take responsibility for our situation. When we take that responsibility, then we can be liberated from Maya. These are all basic teachings that Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is giving at the beginning of Caitanya Caritamrta. So we can get rid of this Mayic influence, so we can enter into Chaitanya Caritamrta fully. Thus, we should not think that Krishna is overpowered by the material potency when he is in the material world. Krishna and his incarnations are not under the control of material nature. Neither is the pure devotee. Neither is that personality who has surrendered fully to his guru. And if his guru is a Mahabhagavat, just like Bhakti Kusum Smaran Maharaj, he surrendered fully to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So he was liberated from this material world. So he is immortal because he's acting on that immortal platform. And if we follow him, if we get his Shakti, he has the potency to liberate us. That is Guru Tattva. And it's the only way we can get liberated, by coming in contact with someone who is already liberated. We cannot do it alone without it. Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj, such a liberated, powerful personality. My friend the other day was telling so many stories about Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj. So strong, so powerful personality. Has the power to liberate us from material suffering, to wake us up, basically. They are totally free. Indeed, in Srimad Bhagavatam, one has a godly nature is actually defined as one who is not affected by the modes of material nature, although in material nature. Although we're in material, we're surrounded by it, but we're not affected by it. And we have the holy name. This holy name in this Kali Yuga. What's that verse? Kalir dosha nidhi rajan asti hyeko mahan guna kirtanat eva krishnasya mukta sangha paramprajat. By this Nam Kirtan, we can be liberated. Kali Yuga has one good quality, Mahaguna, this holy name of the Lord, because it's empowered by Mahaprabhu. So it's our responsibility to understand who is Mahaprabhu. And this is what Caitanya Caritamrta is going to give us. What is the character, the charit of Mahaprabhu? If even a devotee can attain the freedom, then what to speak of the Supreme? So if the devotee can become liberated, what to speak of Krishna? He's never bound. We want to fall in love with Krishna, his qualities. And Srimati Radhika will help us fall in love with Krishna. The real question is, how can we remain unpolluted by material contamination while in the material world? We have to live, we have to eat, we have to perform material activities. How can we stay uncontaminated? It was Rupa Goswami who explained that we can remain uncontaminated while in the world if we simply make it our ambition to serve Krishna. That's all. One may then justifiably ask, how can I serve? Obviously, this is not a simple matter of meditation, which is just an activity of the mind. Meditation is not just serving, it's dhyan. Perhaps in high manasa meditation we can serve Krishna, but for general people, this meditation can sometimes be like an escape from the reality. We have to learn how to live in the material world. Love of Krishna's service can only be attained by working for Krishna. This is chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita. In such work, we should leave no resource unused. Whatever is there, whatever we have, should be used for Krishna. We can use everything: typewriters, automobiles, airplanes, missiles. He even said bombs for Krishna. I don't know how that works out, but apparently, we can use everything for Krishna. Anything, he says. If we simply speak to people about Krishna consciousness, we are also rendering service. If our minds, senses, speech, money, and energies are thus engaged in the service of Krishna, we cannot be considered to be existing in the material nature. We've transcended the material nature. If all our activities become focused on pleasing Krishna, we're no longer in this material world. We're in a completely separate atmosphere. And a materialist will not understand you. They'll think you're a crazy person. You want to sit and chant Hare Krishna, you must be pagal. What's the matter with you? They won't, and they'll criticize us. And many thousands of people, millions of people will criticize us. But we don't care because we know we're individuals. My Gurudev used to say, if the whole world is condemning my Guru and I'm the only one on this side, no problem. No problem. We have to be confident. This beautiful verse, Shraddha Shabde Vishvasa Koi, Sudrita Nishchoy. This Sudrata means confident. If we have faith, we will automatically be confident. If you have firm faith in Krishna, you will never be unsure of yourself. Rock solid faith. You will never be unsure. You will put one foot firmly in front of the other because you know Krishna is there. Look at Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada himself. He came across the Jaladuta, 2 heart attacks on the boat. He arrived without practically a penny in his pocket. He was staying in a meat eater's house. This Agarwal had meat in the fridge. He would open the fridge to take his boga, his apple or fruit, and on the second shelf would be meat. How strong was his Shraddha to endure this for the sake of his Guru? His Guru had given him this instruction to go to the Western shores and preach my message. And he'd gone fearlessly. Old man, 70 years old he went. I think 70, something. But when you get older, your confidence sometimes becomes a little less because you can't run the way you used to run. When you're a kid, you can run upstairs. When you're old, all of a sudden you realize you can't. So sometimes your material confidence can go down. But if you're confident of Krishna's support and mercy and kripa at every single step, then you'll be courageous and strong. By virtue of spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness, we transcend the platform of material nature. It is a fact that Krishna, his expansions and his devotees, that is, those who work for him, are not in material nature, although people with a poor fund of knowledge think they are. So don't listen to the crowds. Caitanya Caritamrta teaches that the spirit soul is immortal and that our activities in the spiritual world are also immortal. The Mayavadis, who hold to the view that the Absolute is impersonal and formless, contend that a realized soul has no need to talk. Monobrat. However, the Vaishnavas, who are devotees of Krishna, contend that when one reaches the stage of realization, he really begins to talk, because we're talking about Krishna. Previously, we only talked about nonsense. The Vaishnavas say, now let us begin our real talks. Talks of Krishna are so nectarian. When we talk, discuss Krishna's pastimes, Shrinvatam Svakata Krishnam, Punashravanam, Kirtanam. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Always hearing these pastimes. The Mayavadis are also fond of using the example of a water pot, maintaining that when a pot is not filled with water, it makes a sound. But when it is filled, it makes no sound. Pop, pop, makes a almost not when it's full pot. But we are not water pots. How can we be compared to them, Prabhupada is saying. A good analogy utilizes as many similarities between two objects as possible. A water pot is not an active living force, but we are. Ever silent meditation may be adequate for a water pot, but not for us. This is the Mayavad, what they call it, Vipassana, the Buddhist practice, Vipassana. But not for us. Indeed, when one has realized he has so much to say about Krishna, 24 hours a day is not enough. When we want to speak about Krishna, we have so many pastimes we can speak. Actually, you both lived here for so long. You can speak so many glories of Radhakund, and they will just elevate us so much. It is a fool who is celebrated as long as he does not speak. For when he breaks his silence, his lack of knowledge is exposed. Caitanya Caritamrta shows us that there are many wonderful things to discover by glorifying the Supreme. In the beginning of Caitanya Caritamrta, Krishnadas Kaviraj writes, I offer my respects to my spiritual masters. He uses the plural here to indicate the disciplic succession. It is not that he offers obeisances to his spiritual master alone, but to the whole parampara, the chain of disciplic succession, beginning with Lord Krishna himself. Thus the Guru is addressed in the plural to show the author's highest respect for all Vaishnavas. After offering obeisances to the disciplic succession, the author pays obeisances to all the other devotees, godbrothers and expansions of Godhead, and the first manifestation of Krishna's energy. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, sometimes called Krishna Chaitanya, is the embodiment of all these. He is God, Guru, devotee, and the expansion of God. He's all of this. As his associates, Nityananda, he is the first manifestation of energy. As Advaita, he is an incarnation. As Gadadhar, he is the internal potency. And as Srivas, he is the marginal living entity. Thus, Krishna should not be thought of as being alone, but should be considered as eternally existing with all his manifestations. As described by Ramanuja in Vaishishtadvaita philosophy, God's energies, expansions, and incarnations are considered to be oneness in diversity. They're all one, even though they appear separate. They're all the Supreme Lord, even though it seems separate. In other words, God is not separate from all these. Everything together is God, this collective consciousness. Although Caitanya Caritamrta is not intended for the novice, for the new person, for it is a postgraduate study of spiritual knowledge. Ideally, one begins with and advances through Srimad Bhagavatam to the Caitanya Caritamrta. Although all these great scriptures are on the absolute level, for the sake of comparative study, Caitanya Caritamrta is considered to be on the highest platform. Every verse in it is perfectly composed. Indeed, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda are compared to the sun and moon in that they dissipate the darkness of the material world. So this is to be, we can reflect that in the last, since Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada left, he wrote all these scriptures, but some of his disciples who thought they were better than him chose to change his language. These words are manifesting from his pure heart. He's channeling the words that are being inspired within him. And we have no right to change a single letter of his authorized writings. If we read any Bhagavad Gita that is after 1972, it is interpolated. And I can quote you so many, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of changes. For example, at the end purport of the 8th chapter, Prabhupada is saying, one should associate with pure devotees. That's in the 1972 edition. And you get an edition after 1972, where it's been changed. It says directly, one should associate with devotees.
Not pure devotees.
Not pure devotees. What a difference. You and I can say we're devotees. We can go out and do some...
No, everyone from
yes,
devotee.
any common devotee, yeah. But he's saying pure devotees we should associate with. Huge difference. And there are so many changes. For example, there's one verse, 637. Prabhupada is writing that by constant practice, there's this verse, abhyasenata kuntaya vairagya, that one by practice and renunciation. And the translation reads that by constant practice, and they have changed it to suitable practice. There's such a difference. You look in the edition, what I'm saying, 637, you can look. But these are just two, but there are hundreds of changes. So the actual edition that is common on the market today of Bhagavad Gita is not the Bhagavad Gita that Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada produced. It's a great tragedy, and we should ourselves know that. and always encourage, because the edition, the 1972 edition, is available on Amazon. Here in India, it's only like 150 rupees or something. It's very cheap. Where's that edition? Oh, this edition. This is the original edition. This is the one that Prabhupada wrote and gave to the world from his heart. But the other editions are not. But it's the same with Christianity. The Bible has been changed and interpolated. Man always thinks he's better than God. It's the original envy that we're talking about. And Prabhupada used to say many times, "Oh, you Americans, you think that you know so much. You want to change all the time. Don't change these teachings. The purity of these teachings is its power."
Actually, they have anubhuti.
Yes.
He have anubhuti, he writes that.
Yes.
We have not anubhuti.
No.
How to
Yeah, how can we do like that? No, it's a fact. So we have to understand this particular detail and find the... Prabhupada is saying that all the words in the district succession, what does he say? He says it just here. Every word, where's he saying it? He offers every word.
Every verse in it is perfectly composed.
Every word is perfectly composed. It shines with purity. When something is pure, it has an illumination. His words have an illumination. In the cause of apparently thinking they can edit it better than Prabhupada wrote it, they've depreciated it. It's a tragedy. I feel strongly about this because I feel it's an infringement on... And Prabhupada himself spoke when he was on the planet so angrily when the devotees tried to change, make some changes, even to his paintings or anything like that, that he hadn't authorized. We are impure. He is pure. Let that purity shine. Let us follow that purity with great sharanagat and conviction. And don't try to change it and minimize it. So, in Vaishishta Advaita philosophy, God's, as I said, read that. Actually, Caitanya Caritamrta, as I read all that too. Every verse in it is perfectly composed. Indeed, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda are compared to the sun and moon. They dissipate the darkness of the material world. In this instance, both the sun and moon have risen together, and it is proper to offer obeisances directly to Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. This is why we're very fortunate to have these various recordings, because you can listen directly to Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. You can listen directly to my Gurudev in his teachings, you know. Nothing can change in the actual oral reception of it, because it's there. So we are blessed with that. But it's unfortunate that we are popularizing the interpolated scriptures. In the Western world, where the glories of Lord Chaitanya are relatively unknown. This is when he was writing it. This essay was written in 1967, it says in the beginning. 1967. How long ago was that? Do the mathematics. 67, 13 plus 25.
57.
57 years ago only. And how much has changed in 57 years? We've had Rath Yatras, we've had murtis of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going through the streets in Australia in particular. When Prabhupada was writing this in 1967, they never even heard of Rath Yatra. What has the fire of one Mahabhagavat been able to accomplish? It's wonderful to appreciate this potency. One may inquire, who is Krishna Chaitanya? I'm reading, by the way, from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, which has exactly the same essay as the Caitanya Caritamrta. It's just a lighter book to hold today, but it's the same lecture, same essay. What was that I just read?
In the Western world, where the Guru is
The last thing I read? Yes. Who is Krishna Chaitanya? The scriptural conclusion in answer to that question is that he is the Supreme Personality. Generally, in the Upanishads, the Supreme Absolute Truth is described in an impersonal way, because that was just their conception. But the personal aspect of the Absolute Truth is mentioned in the Isopanishad, where after a description of the all-pervading, we find the following verse: Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapiham mukham tattvam pusham apa-vrinu satya dhamaya dristaya. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. This is the Brahmajyoti. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotees. We're dazzled by the Brahmajyoti. We're dazzled by the impersonal attraction to Shantaras, ultimately. Brihaspati, he's also dazzled. He's the spiritual master of the Devas. Therefore, all the Devas, they are also dazzled. The Devas don't have bhakti. They can't have bhakti because their spiritual master is Brahman realized. How can they go higher than their spiritual master? So many examples of this. And this verse translates, oh, I just read that. So listen, I'm going to stop now because this is quite an intense introduction. It's very, very beautiful. But Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is giving many there's enough pages here perhaps to conclude on Thursday and Friday. We'll just conclude this introduction. I was thinking in my mind that we would read this forward and the introduction in the first 4 readings, and then next week we'll begin from the first verse of Caitanya Caritamrta. But on Thursday we'll finish the rest of this introduction, which Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is laying down the foundation for this study of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sachinandan Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Go Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Go, Premanandi, Hari Hari. Radha Govinda Ju Ki Jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Go Premanandi. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuveva Cha, Patitanam Papnivyo Vaishnavevyo Namo.